Welcome back to another edition, and tonight we're going to be diving into the world of movies again. And there was some good movie that came out over the weekend through the holiday, and that was the new It 2 movie. And basically, this is something that I've been waiting for a while now. I saw the first one. I read the original book. It's a good book turner. The original 90s with Tim Curry, Harry Anderson in there, and John Boy. That was a good movie as well. But since reading the book, there were a lot of things missing and a lot of explanations, which basically this version does a lot of doing. Especially in the first section of it. And I'm told in the second one, it does a lot of explanation, especially the ending, because the ending was very confusing in the 90s. The book has a better explanation, but I'm not going to ruin it for you. But also, I'm going to tell you, the part we're going to talk about here, we're going to sit here and talk about is, before we start, don't go to this page, don't go to this guy's site, and basically harass him, complain about him and stuff like that to him. Basically, he has an opinion, and he's a person that very confused on many, many different levels. And hey, listen, he wanted to convey something, and I think he did it the wrong way. Because basically, if you dislike something in a movie or you don't like a movie, that's fine. That's okay. It's okay. It's the same thing with my show. If there's something in my show you don't like, and I know there are people who have said this, I'm okay with that. Something maybe I could fix. Or basically tell them, hey, listen, you don't like it? Unfortunately, this is what we do on the show. If you unsubscribe, and, I just thank you for subscribing. I hope maybe you'll come back. And I've had that happen where some people have come back to this channel. But getting to this, and we'll switch into this, this particular person didn't like a particular scene in the new It movie, It 2. And here's a bit of a spoiler warning notification here. He says, warning to gays and the alphabet people who are going to see this movie. The opening scene involves the brutalization of two alphabet people and the murder of one of them. I felt sick and threw off my entire movie experience. I just wanted you to be aware. This is where he should have stopped. Understandably, he should have stopped at this point, and I'll tell you why. He had, like I said, he has his opinions, but when he continued this thread, it started to make it sound like that this should be banned. And he said in one of the threads, he says, no, I don't want it to be banned or anything of that nature. But and he started to continue to talk, and it's like, well, you're saying it, but the way you're sounding and some of the things you're saying, you're making it sound like you wanted to get banned, and that you're just really just fueling the anger on a lot of people with this movie. Now understand, this particular scene is not something that's new, that was just added in by the screenwriter. This is something that is in the original novelization. If you've read the book, it's in there. I don't know how they portrayed it as far as in this movie, this version of the movie, but it's in there, and it's just trying to. Stephen King was just trying to explain the dark side of people. That basically, like in a small town, like Derry's a small town, that people can be very, very dark at some point. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your gender is, what your sexual preference is. It basically, says that, there are some darkness in some of us. And that's what he was trying to portray. But moving on to it, when you sit there and you say this, and he says, listen, I don't know, I didn't feel right about it. Okay, you didn't feel right about it. But don't continue on and saying like, all of you shouldn't go see it, blah, blah, blah. But you make it sound like this is the only movie that's ever been made in movie history where alphabet people have been killed in, or alphabet people has been portrayed as killers. Because I'll tell you, we'll go back in the way back machine, back to the 80s, where there was a movie with Al Pacino that caused a big ruckus in the alphabet community. And it was a movie called Cruisin'. And if you don't know about this, this is a pretty rough movie. It's a murder thriller. Pacino plays a cop who goes undercover in the community, in the alphabet community, to find a killer of other people who are gay, mostly men. And basically, it's a very strong movie. It's not, I wouldn't recommend this to most people because some of the imagery is very rough in this on there. This is directed by William Friedkin. If you're not familiar with him, he is very, very good with his films. This is the same man who did The Boys in the Band, and also he did The French Connection. He's also known for one of my favorite films. I just watched it recently. Is To Live and Die in L.A. with William Peterson in there. And if you haven't seen To Live and Die in L.A., fantastic movie. Great soundtrack by Wang Chung. Very well done. The camera images and stuff like that. And some of the chase scenes are based on the French Connection. And then, of course, he's one of the biggest movies that had a lot of criticism on there next to Cruise is The Exorcist also. And you had this movie years ago, and you had both sides of the alphabet community complaining in both ends. Some that wanted it out, some that didn't. Some found it very offensive how it was portrayed for the people that were the gay community as far as that. But it's just, it's a movie. Someone wrote a story and they merged characters into the story, and they're just telling something that happened. Because in that time period, you have to remember, going back a little bit, is that in the gay community, there were people being murdered, and basically they did send in people to investigate this. But when you look at the overall perspective, and you have other movies in history that just basically that portray transgenders as murderers, if you have never seen Sleepaway Camp or Dressed to Kill, and you could probably go through history looking at movies, whether they're made here or abroad, about people who are in the alphabet community that are either murdered or are murderers, and this happens. And these movies are going to be criticized. You can't be one group that says, well, you can't have us talk about us in comedies, put us in movies, put us in TV series and stuff like that. You can't have us in there. Well, if you say that, then one group has to be pulled out, then every group has to be pulled out. You can't have special treatment. We are all equal. No matter what problems we go through. And I can understand for some people in the alphabet community, they've had a lot of problems. I can understand that. I lived in the neighborhood around us where there were alphabet clubs. And, I can understand the things that they went through. Because, you get home and they're just opening up for the day, and then you hear people yelling at them and stuff like that. It happens. People are going to be angry about things. But you can't be on the same end as them, wanting to say, well, you can't be doing this. You can't have people murdered in the movie that are in the alphabet community. Well, that's wrong as well. Because you look at it, when you create a story, you mold it to the characters, and, this is the story. It's only a story. You can't be afraid of a story. And if you sit there all day long, and like this person did, and he was on Twitter all day long, day in, day out, basically talking about this. Saying, no, I don't want it banned. But yet, everything he's saying, it sounds like he wants it banned. And there were people writing on Twitter separately in their accounts that it should be banned. That basically, there are articles that are being written, even some probably right now as we speak, talking about this. So, tell me below how you feel about this. Have you gone to see the movie? Please comment. Let me know how you feel about this. Because, it's just that we're all part of one world. And, there are many stories that can be told. But we can't be afraid to put characters into those stories because that they're going to complain that why are we in that story? It's a story. Take it for what it is. If you dislike the product, as Howard Stern used to say, just turn it off. Turn it off or move to another channel. No one is sitting there tying you up like some Clockwork Orange type Gestapo, making you forcibly watching it. That's not the way things are being done. So thank you for tuning in. And if you have that moment and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscription bar, hit that like, because we appreciate that. And especially if you like this show, please show how much you like it by doing this. And those of you who have done it, thank you very much. Thank you for commenting also. Because here at Man with the Show on CutiCast TV, we love that you are watching us, and we love bringing these shows day to day to you. All right. So once again, thank you for tuning into Man with the Show on CutiCast TV.